Hello mate, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Project 36. So as you can see, we are now on number 10 of 36. I worked it out and we've basically gotten to do an Ascendancy class every 2.5 days in order to get this done ready for early access launch November 15th for PoE 2. So we've got a lot of work to do, that's why we're back with another one, and this time we're doubling up, we're going 2 for 2. Last time we did a Marauder, we're doing another Marauder, it was the Chieftain last time, and this time, as you'll tell in the thumbnail, we are looking at the Berserker. So let's take a look at it and see what you think. Alright, here we are. Here is the whole presentation screen, and what I'll do first is, just like we did last time, I'll jump into the little bit of lore that we've written for the class, just to give that kind of feeling and the themes, and then we'll have a look at the themes in the bottom left quickly. So, Fury knows not what it has wrought in the heart of a Berserker, for once the red mist descends, no man nor beast is safe from their ire. The Berserker is an unstoppable marauder, unyielding to caution. Your rage is your weapon, willing to forego pain and even death to satisfy their bloodlust, ferociously enforcing their own belief that the strong shall consume the weak. All right, let's take a look at the themes. So we've got rage, pain, exertion, and sustain. So it all sounds pretty familiar. Let's get up into the tree and actually get looking at the nodes. What you're here to see. So let's start by looking at what I think is probably the most obvious. Let's go down into this trio node. And so we'll take the travel node here. It's +7 maximum rage and gain +3 rage on melee hit. Again, just as a preface for everyone watching, all of these numbers are just like, we don't know how all the numbers are going to work out in PoE 2, but these are just based roughly on PoE 1 numbers, and then it'll all need changing and stuff as it gets balanced. It's very much just a concept. So yeah, we get maximum rage, and then we get some rage on hit. And then we've got 3 options here, so you can only take one of these and it excludes the others, and then we'll give access to the next tier down. So, Undying Rage, gain 10% of your maximum rage per second, gain an endurance charge every 5 seconds that you're at maximum rage. You also take 0.2% of your current life as physical damage every second per rage. So, you can stack as much rage as you want, but obviously the more rage you stack, there is a downside. You're going to be taking more and more physical damage. Very much playing into the idea of the Berserker is like, you're doing damage, but you're taking damage, right? All 3 of these nodes basically play on this theme of rage generation or altering your rage somehow. This one just gives you base rage generation. So you don't, maybe you're on a build that's not hitting as much, you're a slower build, this might be the one for you. Let's look at the next one. Deepening Rage. Your maximum rage is increased by 60%, and your minimum rage is 20% of your maximum rage. Again, we then get that kicker of 0.2% of your life as physical damage per rage. So this one is very much, you want to build up the biggest rage pool you possibly can, then there you go. This is how you get there. And then next up, we've got Seething Rage. Now, this is kind of giga damage, but giga risks. So every 2% of maximum rage you currently have reserves 1% of your maximum life. So that's 100% of your rage. Say you got 50 rage and you're at 50 rage, 50% of your life is going to be reserved. But you gain 6 to 12 physical damage for every 5% of life reserved. So 50%, you could 10 times this. That is 60 to 120 physical base damage. Again, numbers can be tweaked, but I wanted to make it feel punchy. You're losing half of your life pool for this. And again, you've got that kicker down there. All of these will play in with other sort of parts of the tree as well, so just keep in mind how this might work with other things like life reservation and stuff like that. Next, if you wanted to double down on the rage mechanic here, you've got +8 to max rage and 20% increased effect of rage. This is really leaning into rage. And you get Berserker's Trance. So, Berserker's Trance gives you a stance skill, and it basically allows you to assign it to a weapon set. So you've got 2 stances available to you. You've got Wrath Stance. Each rage also grants 2% increased critical strike chance. And then you've got Fury Stance, which is 1% increased attack speed per rage. So this is where you could maybe have Wrath Stance assigned to both of your weapons. Maybe you just want to go into crit. You could have Fury assigned to both, but you might have one of each where you've got a really fast attacking weapon that you want to be doing certain attacks with, and then you've got a big hit weapon where you want to be landing that massive crit. So this kind of, again, just allows you to utilize your rage in other ways, similar to the PoE 1 Ascendancy, but this is condensed into one node, and you're basically getting the options to choose how you want to do it. So let's tick that one off, and now what I think we'll do is move over to the left. Yeah, let's start taking a look at the Kitava based stuff. So with the Chieftain, I wanted to lean into the lore a little bit more of the Karui, and we had all of the different tribes and the gods involved in there, and you were sort of picking what tribe you wanted. And I feel like the Berserker is very much aligned in a weird way to Kitava potentially, and there's like a nice little bit of lore that could be tied in there. And not necessarily in an evil sense, but in this kind of like hunger sense. So 25% increased Warcry duration and 25% increased Warcry effect on the travel node, very powerful. And then we get down to Kitava's Hungering Cry. This is very familiar to what we've seen in PoE 1. Warcries exert twice as many attacks. This is in the latest 3.2.5 update for Settlers. But then I wanted to add something else on there as well, which is that Warcries consume nearby corpses, granting 5% of max life as temporary life for 10 seconds. Up to 100%, so you can't just stack this forever if you got, you know, if you giga juiced beyond kind of deli stuff, you know, that kind of stuff where you got hundreds of mobs. You can only ever have 100% of your max life as temporary life, but temporary life cannot be regenerated or recovered in any way. It can't be recouped, it can't be leached, nothing like that. So this is just like a constant kind of barrier, or like life barrier of temporary life that you can get by using your Warcries. And again, if you're timing your Warcries right when you've got a lot of corpses nearby, then you're getting the benefit leading you into the next pack. And so it's encouraging you to kind of keep that momentum going, trying to keep into that like Berserker Fury sort of mindset. All right, tick that one off. Next up, we'll come round left here, and we've got 15% increased life regeneration rate whilst taking damage over time, and damaging ailments expire 25% faster on you. We've got Kitava's Embrace. Now, this is a pretty controversial one, I think, but I think this is really powerful and really thematic, and it will allow you to do lots of interesting things, I think, with sort of, now that we're not reserving life in the same way with auras, or we don't expect that we can be, maybe we can be, we'll have to see how this all shakes out. Of course, we don't want this to be too overpowered, but the idea that you could essentially have, like, petrified blood on you all the time, as a kind of like ascendancy node, but you're also getting 25% less damage taken from damage over time. So essentially, your life threshold becomes 40%, your low life threshold becomes 40%, but anytime you're under 40% life, you're taking 25% less damage, and you're taking that damage over time. So it's a very, very powerful defensive node, but you're opening yourself up to certain problems, trying to get down to that 40% all the time. Anything over that, you're just going to be taking regular damage. You're not getting any benefit from this. So I think it's a really interesting one, very powerful. All right, we'll come up now to Kitava's Thirst, probably the simplest node on the tree. And I just wanted to give the Berserker access to Leech. So you're getting Leech 2% of your damage as life, and 20% chance to instant leech. So any instance of leech can happen instantly, 1 in 5 times. And this would just be nice to, the more you're attacking, the more you're kind of fishing for these like instant leech instances to big up your life and pick it back up. Whilst on low life, your leech has 100% increased effect. You cannot be leeched from. So again, balance-wise, maybe the leech number is 1% of damage per life. Maybe when you're on low life, you only get 50% increased. I don't know, but I wanted to get across the idea here that the closer you are to death, the more you're leeching, and the more you want to be attacking, because you're getting a chance to get those instant leech procs. All on one node, you're just getting tons of leech from this one node. So if you want to go leech, you can pick it up this way. And then if you do pick that up, actually, I'll tell you what, we'll move over to the right-hand side, and then we'll have a look at the tier 2 node, Ancestral Vengence. So every 4 seconds, your next attack will be exerted by an ancestral spirit. Ancestrally boosted attacks grant twice as much rage. So every 4 seconds, you're getting a big hit. This is effectively like Fists of War. And it's kind of been taken from what we lost on the Chieftain when we redesigned the Chieftain. For this, I just wanted it to be like simpler, more elegant. It's just across every weapon type, you're going to get a ancestrally boosted attack. So if that's a bow, then you're getting an extra, like, you know, big bow attack, essentially like a brutality proc or something like that. I'll leave that for the devs to figure out how that will actually work and would fit in with different skills. But it's just a regular increased big slam. Maybe you're leaning into this with slower builds, or maybe you're waiting for this to come round and then you're using your big attacks. Just offers up some different gameplay considerations. Plus you're getting more rage from these attacks. Alright, and now up. So consuming an endurance charge grants 10 rage and increased maximum life. Grab those two, then we can come up to Arn's Brutality. So most of you are PoE 1 heads, you're diehard nerds like me. This is kind of inspired by Arn's Anguish, the belt, quite a popular belt, granting brutality charges. People use it with Ralakesh's Impatience. This, I wanted to kind of like offer the big damage moment that you can get. And I feel like on the Berserker, this is where this could, you know, should come from. And so you're getting +1 endurance charges as a base, very nice. Spending an endurance charge grants a brutal charge. Heavy stunning a unique enemy grants a brutal charge. Your maximum brutal charges is equal to your maximum endurance charges. And then each skill, this is the real kicker. So all of that's about how you get your brutal charges, right? And creating some brutal charge generation. What do you do with them? Each skill you use has a 10% chance to spend a brutal charge, dealing triple damage. So effectively, this is a 30% more damage multiplier, but you're getting that damage infrequently. 10% of the time you're going to be dealing a huge amount of extra damage. So again, this is kind of like opening up certain moments that might happen in the gameplay where, yeah, once in every 10 attacks, you might just instantly get way more stun onto the boss, or you're delivering a huge, you know, moment in the battle that like quickly changes what you're expecting to do, and you have to react to that. And I think that can work on a defensive but also an offensive measure. So, you know, you go up to a rare and you're thinking, okay, I really need to plan around this rare, and you just like basically chunk 90% of their health immediately. I don't know, feels like a cool thing. So yeah, that's Arn's Brutality. And so now you've kind of got like, you've got huge amounts of damage available to you through the Berserker's Trance and like investing in rage and stuff like that. So you could just go all out damage, rage, pick up some leech, and then get Arn's Brutality, or pick up the extra empowered attacks. And that's just like a big damage thing, and you're figuring out your defenses elsewhere. The other two sort of, I guess, like options I wanted to throw. One was more of a sustain element and leaning into this like forging through the pain and putting up with the pain. If you were really trying to figure out how to stay alive whilst doing this. 15% increased life regeneration rate, 10% increased maximum life. And then we've got Blood of the First Karui. Regenerate 0.1% of life per 1% of life missing, of your max life missing. 150% increased life regeneration rate for 2 seconds after taking a savage hit. So if we think of this as like you're on low life and you're at like 20% of your max life, then you're going to be gaining 8% life regeneration per second. Now that doesn't sound like a crazy amount by PoE 1 standards. However, we know that in PoE 2, regeneration and these huge regen builds are not intended to be the sort of like status quo for defenses. This is the idea anyway, because if you do that, you trivialize the combat, and then it kind of ruins this whole like dynamic combat thing they're trying to create. So 8% is a hell of a lot, but obviously you're only going to be getting that, and it will diminish as you regain health. So it's only when you're really close to death that you're getting this massive boost. And then anytime you're taking savage hits, which is over 15% of your life in one hit, you're gaining even more regeneration rate. So I think this is just like a really interesting, pushing yourself to the max of like maybe getting down to that 40% threshold of low life, and then, you know, you're constantly under 40%, and so this is constantly giving you like 5-6% of your life per second. Again, these numbers can be tweaked. Maybe it's too powerful. Maybe this is too powerful when you can combine it with Kitava's Embrace. So maybe this low life threshold becomes like 20%, right? 25%, something crazy like that. So in that very last bit of your life, that last quarter, it takes, you know, all of your damage over time. So it feels like you're always close to death, which is the thing that I'm really trying to capture with this design. And then finally, I've got something that's a little bit different. So 25% less damage taken from critical strikes, 50% less damage reflected back at you, and we've got Masochism. Cast when damage taken reserves no spirit and can be socketed twice. So just on this, I think the way that cast when damage taken is going to be working, all of these like meta gems are typically reserving spirit. And so what this is allowing you to do is to skip the spirit requirement, and you can reserve, and you can use 2 of the same gem. So you can socket 2 cast when damage takens, have 2 cast when damage taken setups, you know, potential 2 6-links on your build, and really build around this like hit me kind of thing and triggering off of that. Now, whether we need to balance this around like you're taking more damage because of this, like that's okay. I think that really fits the theme. I didn't add that on there, but again, that would be like a balance thing. It might actually be more thematic to say you take 10% more damage alongside this. Maybe that's the way to do it. On top of that, we get nice bonuses. So 50% reduced threshold to trigger cast when damage taken. So damage you have to take is a bit less. And when triggered, socketed skills deal 30% more damage and have 50% more duration. So this is whether you want to do it for a damage setup or a like self-buff, immortal call or something like that, auto-triggering setup. I realized I missed something and I wanted to chuck this in. So when I was coming up with the Ascendancy, I felt like I wanted some kind of node that offered you like this kind of almost decapitation or like ability to use a big hit or a big slam, maybe a single target thing against rare enemies that would spend your rage. But then I realized, like, why limit that to 1 Ascendancy? It felt like something that was probably a good skill idea. So here we are, Enraged Blow. So it's got the tags of attack, channeling, physical, duration, and melee. And then basically, instead of costing mana, it's costing you rage per second. As you level up, that rage goes up. And then the skill description here is spend rage to charge up your axe whilst channeling. Spending over half your maximum rage will refund some rage. Dual wielding axes will strike with both of them. It requires an axe. So you overwhelm 1% of physical damage mitigation per rage spent. And you also gain 1 to 2 physical damage per rage spent. So if you imagine you got 50 rage, this is 50 to 100 extra physical damage. It's quite a lot. Again, numbers can be tweaked. So from a gameplay point of view, what I was imagining with this is you've built up all your rage, you're against a tough rare enemy, and you want to, there's an opportunity. You get a heavy stun on them, they're staggered, and so you want to spend that rage. And so if you can get yourself into the right position, charge up your raging blow, and you spend over half your rage, then you get 40 to 50% of that rage back. If your raging blow kills a rare or unique enemy, then you get all of your rage back. And I think this is just a fun kind of decapitate, death blow, coup de grace? No? Coup de grace? Is that right? I don't know. Yeah, it's just a fun ability to sort of end your enemy, or at least do a lot of damage to them if you're really struggling. I don't know if we're going to be getting quality in the game, but you get increased rage cost per second, which is getting you to that threshold a lot quicker. So yeah, this was just a fun idea I wanted to chuck in before we finish up the video. Let's get back to it. So that is the tree. Like I said, I didn't really change the core idea of the class, which is do more damage, take a bit more damage, and funnel into rage a lot. But I just wanted to offer loads of different ways. I think there's some like interesting ideas here that, you know, unique items could work with, playing around with life thresholds and low life and regen when you're down low, and increasing your damage by taking more damage and all this stuff. And then obviously with that last one, Masochism, like actually leaning into like a take more damage and I do more damage, or I'm stronger because of that kind of thing. So hopefully you enjoyed this. I am, yeah, like I say, I'm doing as many of these as I possibly can. I really love the artwork on this one. I was so glad with how it came together. And this is definitely, I don't think this is the craziest or most creative Ascendancy design, but I think it really balances. When I was thinking about creating 3 Marauder Ascendancies and what I wanted to like try and offer, you know, in this imaginary world, but like what you could offer by having 3 very different Ascendancies. The Chieftain feels like very different to this, very much like it's got a lot of elemental elements, it's got a lot of minion stuff, it's not got like tons and tons of damage, direct damage, and I wanted to create like something super contrasty that was really physical, really aggressive, really like Marauder with axe, I'm coming to kill you. I almost ended up like stealing stuff from the Slayer for this, because it just felt so, you know, things like culling and overleech and things like that, but I think that wouldn't work with the way that we've designed some of this, and I also think that the Slayer is an awesome Ascendancy design that we should probably revisit as well. So that is the Ascendancy, that is the Berserker, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'm going to be coming out with these as quickly as I possibly can, getting all the artwork together, getting the design together, going through and making sure it's not like really stupid so that you guys don't rip me apart. No, you guys are friendly, but yeah, just I don't want to put out anything that's like rubbish, and I really want to try and give them time to sort of cook and come back to them and stuff like that. So again, we're going to be doing these on stream, we're designing as many of these on stream as we can, and your input and your feedback is really helpful. So if you want to come over and join us at twitch.tv, we're at silverxyz, just same as the channel name, and yeah, I'll find you there, I'll have a chat with you there. But until then, friends, exiles, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Ta-da.